Hello and welcome to the Operationally Speaking podcast. Today we're excited to be speaking with Beth Russell, who works with Knoxville Orthopedic Clinic. She is an award-winning ASC administrator, and she's here today. She's going to share some tips on what she feels is the best way to really strive and drive your ASC success. So welcome, Beth. It's wonderful to have you. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, your history and everything?
Hi, Tina. Thank you for having me. It's always good to talk with you. So, as you said, Beth Russell, I am with Knoxville Orthopedic Clinic. I have worked in this organization since 2018 and actually worked with the physicians in this Knoxville area since 2005. I have a long orthopedic background as a surgical tech and an RN, and I was a first assist in surgery. And then I just kind of worked my way up. I was a director of surgery at a local hospital. And then I moved over to the Orthopedic World ASC in 2018 to run Knoxville Orthopedic Surgery Center. And I did that through last year. And then I was moved up into the corporate structure of the organization. And so now I'm over both surgery centers that we have. So we have two orthopedic surgery centers. And then we also manage the staff at our level 1 trauma hospital, the orthopedic staff in surgery. So it's a really unique position that kind of gets me back in the hospital world a little bit, but then still managing the two ASCs.
Oh, very nice.
Mhm.
Sounds like you're busy, and sounds like our backgrounds are quite similar with kind of being in the weeds in many different facets of the ASC world and then rising, up through leadership. So that's exciting, and sounds like your new role certainly going to keep you nice and busy.
Yes, it does.
Well, we're excited to learn more about your, ASC culture and how you kind of drive things. I think the listeners will be able to gain a lot from what you kind of give out as pearls, and please tell us too about your awards and how that worked.
Mhm. So Knoxville Orthopedic Surgery Center participated in the first Leapfrog survey. So that was, I guess, the first pilot survey was 6 years ago. And then we've done each survey since then, and we've won the top ASC award with Leapfrog for 5 years in a row now.
Wow.
So I don't want to say that I'm an award-winning administrator. I feel like it's all my team and the staff at the ASCs. But it definitely speaks to the culture that the survey is very heavy in staff culture, and that's just something that we're very proud of.
Well, congratulations. That is exciting. Can I ask one question? Is it similar to the patient culture of safety survey, or is it a little different?
It has that piece in it. So it has that, and then it adds other quality pieces as well.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Leapfrog, but we've not done any of the surveys yet. So
Mhm.
sounds very interesting
Yeah.
to me. So tell us a little bit about your philosophies with that and how you were able to achieve. I hear you loud and clear. Certainly it is the team, with regards to how the culture is and how everyone works together. But, truly you are a leader and a leader in that realm. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that and how you handle your culture.
Yeah. I think it's like you said, having kind of grown up in it and worked in it, I always worked for people, not always, but I worked for people, and I would always think they don't really understand what we do. They just went straight into management, and that, not that that's always a bad thing, but for me that was kind of the driving force to want to get into management, is because I felt like I understood what the team needed and what the staff wanted. And so that's kind of how I got into management, and I feel like that's been the best part of kind of our high performing ASCs is just focusing on the people first. I always tell people, once you get into this level, I'm not taking care of patients anymore, but I'm taking care of my team. And if I do a good job taking care of them, then they're taking good care of our patients. And so I think just that culture drives patient safety, patient satisfaction, staff retention, accountability. It touches everything in the center.
I love that. I love that philosophy too. And that's a very good point. I have never thought about it that way. I love that. Um, so dive in, tell us a little bit more about maybe some of the things that you do to kind of enforce your belief there and your how you handle things.
I think just transparency with my management team, encouraging them the same transparency with their teams, just always having that open door philosophy, always, wanting the staff to bring things to you, making them feel comfortable if they see something that's not right, or even if they see something that, like, that's a really good idea. I think we should try this. We want everyone to feel comfortable that they can bring those ideas to us. Um, and a lot of times they're great ideas. I mean, they do it every day, and so they know better. I did it 20 years ago, but things have changed. And so I love hearing ideas, things that we can put into place. And then one of the big things that we love is to also celebrate our teams.
Mhm.
And it doesn't always have to be big and expensive. But one of our directors at one of our surgery centers, they just did Nurses Week celebration, and they just did a little snack cart, and they bought snacks and took around to the whole building, and that got them out into the building and got an opportunity to get in front of people, give staff a time to stand, to talk with you and celebrate them, and just some chips and drinks and a time to talk to the management team, and people loved it. And that was just an example of something small you could do to celebrate your team.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
That's important and empowering them, building that trust, getting that face time helps empower them to also, feel comfortable with, bringing up ideas or bringing things to administration's attention.
Right.
So all part of that just culture. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
What do you do, or is there anything special that you do with your most immediate team to kind of help with, building that trust or ensuring that, that they're happy in their roles?
Hmm. So I'm new in this role, and so that's something that I'm actually working on. I started out in, a kind of a one-on-one meeting once a week, and we've gotten to kind of where we're like at once every 2 weeks now. But we're going to do a surgical services quarterly meeting where we all get together, and we're doing that next week. And so I've been kind of working on getting that together. And for that first meeting, it's really no business at all. It's just networking, letting them all. They don't always get to meet because they're at different facilities. And so I tried to put together some fun stuff to kind of like icebreakers, and it's not even really work related or surgery related. It's just kind of giving them an opportunity to connect, and that's kind of what I want to build. Is I don't want them to be so siloed.
Sure.
At the two ASCs or the surgery center, is just build off of each other and have that kind of that just networking. We're right across the street from each other, and we need to be able to call when we need something. And so the surgical services department here is kind of new. We've always kind of been in those little silos, and so I'm excited to work on building that.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And
Hmm.
definitely given the team, I find, even for ourselves, with working in different locations or being remote, of really trying to pull the team together and make them feel, all is one. So we sort of do that same thing. Right now we do every Friday where, the team gets together and the first 15, 20 minutes is, just talking. How was your week? How's the family? Anything new going on? Because you do miss that in some cases when you're not always able to, be together in one building per se.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, could you share with us, so when you were in your administrative role at your ASC,
Hmm.
maybe some pearls that you did there to really bring your team together or to help ensure for retention? Was there anything special that is Beth, that you did for your team?
Um, The definitely the celebrating piece that kind of brought that into the surgery center when I came, and then I tried to get that out to the community. So I created a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page for the organization, just for the surgery center. And I still today get text messages. I got pictures this morning when they do something fun. They send me a picture, so I put it on the Facebook page, and they love that. And so I think that's celebrating each other, and that encourages them to get involved. And so, surgical tech week, nurses week, X-ray tech week, materials management, we kind of do something for each little group, and we always try to get that out into Facebook. And I actually had a nurse probably 6 or 8 months ago that we hired, and she said she applied because she had saw all of the things on Facebook and that it looked like we had a really good time, and she felt like everybody really enjoyed their job. And I think that's what's important to me is healthcare is hard. I mean, it's hard to work in healthcare, and it's just busy, and sometimes you're short staffed, and dealing with all of the red tape of insurance companies and all of the things that go along with that. And so if you can create a place that people enjoy and want to come to work, then they'll work a little harder. They'll work over. They'll help you out when you need them to. And you definitely need that in an ASC when you're running so lean.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely having a proactive, environment, uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with the celebrating the wins and things. Uh, I know you had mentioned before when we talking about what to bring forth on the podcast, that you mentioned, having frequent touch points. I like what you said about, when you're in the business of administration, you kind of start thinking more about financials and dashboards and things like that. But you said you have that focus too, but you really try to focus more in on, having a touch point with each of your staff.
Yes, and I want my managers, my direct reports to do that. Obviously, there's things we have to do every day. We're doing the, payer negotiations and vendor negotiations, and you're doing all of the business, but you have to, whether it's put that time on your calendar or one day a week, or like you have to set time apart and to focus on those things. You just can't get buried in the spreadsheets and the data and the dashboards. And again, that's all very important, obviously. But keeping your staff happy, and when something happens, just as simple as I had a conversation this week, if someone turns their notice in, why? Like sit down. What is there an issue? Is there something we could have done better? Because we want to protect the staff that we have, and we want to keep them happy. And that all just obviously flows downhill. I mean, we have great patient care. We have great patient reported outcomes and patient satisfaction surveys, and I think that's because we do a good job. People love their job, and it shows. I mean, I've had patients call me and say, I can tell they really love their job. And you can't always say that. You go into a business and you can tell someone's not happy. I don't ever want that in any of my employees.
No, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
you're right. You can go into a doctor's office. I had just went into one recently, and you could tell they were not happy. They're slamming things around. They're doing this and that, and you're like, almost like, oh, I don't know if I want to be here. Like you don't really want that energy. And
Right.
especially in your case with surgery, you want your patients to come in, feel relaxed, enjoy, feel the rapport with the team there and everything. So, yeah, that I agree, Beth. That's so important.
Mhm.
What do you do when you? So I love the idea of always ensuring that when someone turns in their notice, that you try to find out what's the why. Was
Mhm.
it something? Because you see the sayings on social and different things, like they're not leaving the organization, they're leaving, a situation. And so you trying to figure out, what could that situation be? How do you handle, when you hear something that, doesn't fit with your philosophy? How do you kind of manage that?
Mhm. I think just being very transparent, bringing people in, wanting them to feel completely comfortable with you, that they can tell you exactly what happened, why they're not happy, if there are issues and concerns that you can deal with. And sometimes it's just not the right fit. Not everyone is going to be, not everyone's an ASD person, and that's fine. And if you get to that point, I want you to feel comfortable enough that you can tell me that. and we can both part ways happily, and we can find someone that's a better fit. But I
Right.
don't ever want it to be because it's something that we didn't address or something we didn't talk about or something we didn't try to fix.
Right.
I think that that's very important to listen and try to make improvements when you can.
Yeah, definitely. I know you had mentioned too, team accountability. So to your point, if you hear something that might not be to your, standards or the philosophy of your organization, to really try to manage that and correct it or remedy the situation so that it doesn't become, something more. I know that from my own experience, if you have a team member who is just not fitting in or is not happy for whatever reason, it can really weigh on the morale of the team for everybody around them. And it's really challenging myself, even when I was younger, I'll say, you think that you can try to fix them, make them happy, and you not. And so the sooner that new managers and administrators, kind of learn that, you're not going to change a personality. You might be able to remedy a situation, but if they're not a good fit, call it for what it is, to your point,
Mhm.
and accept it and let them move on, or else it really does run the chances of having, the whole team's morale tank. And you certainly don't want to do that, because that, to your point, really wreaks havoc on not only the team, but also the patients, and also ultimately patient safety, could be affected.
Right. And we're fixers. That's what we do. That's why
Yeah.
we're in healthcare. And so you're right, it is hard, and I think it's really hard for new managers to think that way, that they do. And I was that way when I first got into
Me
it. I
too.
just wanted to fix it. And I'm learning to step back and like try not to. I'm not a micromanager, but sometimes I just want to jump in and do it. And I'm learning to like delegate and give things away, and I want them to learn to think not necessarily like me, like they have to think on their own, but I want to, the same culture to stay in the organization. And thinking back on the difficult situations, we've had a couple of instances where sometimes it's just lack of understanding or lack of communication, and it's putting three or four people in a room together and then just let's talk it out. Um, Not some sort of yelling match, but like,
No. Right.
let me hear your side, you hear my side, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, I didn't think about that." We've done that it's interesting here because we're tied to one group. It's a really large group. There's like 8 clinics, but it's just one physician-owned company,
Right.
and so we work very closely with those offices, and sometimes it's a matter of just getting in the room with staff from the office and staff from the surgery centers and talking through what I do, how does it affect you, and what do you really need from me, and it's amazing when you can get in a room together and talk like that. They're like, "Oh, we didn't realize that mattered, and that's easy. We can send it to you this way if that makes it easier." And so communication is huge for sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I agree with you. And it took a while to learn that and to get comfortable with, um, managing any kind of complicated communication, or communication that may be perceived at first as uncomfortable. But you're right. Once you get in there and actually just begin talking,
Hmm.
you can really quickly figure out, oh, this was a misperception, or oh, they weren't understanding really where I was coming from, and things of that nature. So yeah, communication, I think, is at the very crux of everything. And what I always said, when I was administrator, is that my door is always open. I don't, we can take the emotion out of it. Certainly, acknowledge the emotion. You're upset about something, whatever. Acknowledge it. Don't dismiss it. But then let's get to the crux of it. Okay, what caused that emotion? What's going on?
Hmm.
And try to address it that way. And I'll say, shoo, 99.9% of the time, when it's two people involved, it is a misperception
Yep.
amongst them. One's thinking this, one's thinking that, or they're putting their own thoughts and feelings on someone else, and that wasn't even where they were coming from. So,
Right.
so one of my things that I always said, as we kind of come out of nursing school, we don't get really a lot of, teamwork and communication training. And
Mm,
then we're put all type A personalities in a mix in a small environment saying, take care of these patients. And I
right.
really do think that teamwork and communication needs to be, somewhere along. And I know in a hospital system, you probably have a great program for that, but in some of the, smaller de novos, you're kind of on your own with learning that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. You are. And it's taken years. I mean, I've done this for 25 years now. So you definitely evolve and learn from your mistakes. And
Yes.
yeah, it's been good though. I am very, very happy where we are today. I'm happy with this organization. We have a great team, great physicians. That's one of the things I always tell staff is we are lucky because not everybody gets to work in a physician-owned group.
Right.
Um, they're fabulous physicians, and I want to do all of the work, and I don't want them to know that all of the crazy things that we had to do. Like they just want to be able to walk in and take care of their patient, and because that's all they care about. They
Right.
just need to take care of the patient.
Right. And I'm sure they're thrilled when they come in and
Hmm.
see their team is happy, their
Yeah.
patients are happy. There's probably no greater feeling, for them to have that. That's kind of how I always approach things as well. It's like we could be, working on, 15 things in the background that the physician and the patients do not even need to know about. We'll get it handled. It's going to be seamless and kind of go from there. So,
I 100% agree.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, it sounds like, from what I'm understanding, is that communication, celebrating the teams, really taking the time to listen, taking the time to talk, and taking the time to allow the teams to communicate with one another is really at the base of how your ASCs and your team have managed to, win the Leapfrog Award for 6 years, was it? 6 years? 5
Five,
years?
yeah, 5
Years?
years. Hmm.
Maybe the sixth one's coming. So I think that that's really important for administrators to hear, that we try to always think of like all of these strategies and all of these things that we have grandiose ideas and things when really sounds like just really following and being true to those basic premises is what really builds that environment of trust and communication and cohesiveness. So
Yeah, I think it makes the other things flow a little easier, a little more efficient. Obviously, there's still things you do for accreditations and depending on what state you're in, and there's always the regulatory things, but none of that feels difficult and burdensome, I think, when you've created a place that people enjoy and you allow them to be involved in all of those things as well.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely empowering. That helps with the buy-in, that helps, the whole gamut. So I agree wholeheartedly there. Well, Beth, thank you so much for sharing your insights. Congratulations on all of the wins in your new role. And I do follow your page on Facebook, and I do love seeing that. And I think that's also a great idea with your organization's permission, to be able to post things and show really the camaraderie of your team. So always a pleasure talking with you, Beth, and you're always welcome back on the podcast. Love to hear about anything you've got going on and anything that you'd like to share with other administrators or
Thank,
nurses. Yeah.
thank you so much, Tina. I love the podcast, so I'm excited to be included now.
Thank you. Well, thanks for joining, and I'll be talking to you again soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye bye.